So welcome to all, and our today's second day is as per our schedule. Professor Ejim Moore sir, today's expert of first session, sir has already joined. So welcome sir. Good morning sir.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you sir. Thanks for accepting our invitation on time and joining for before joining sir. So before move forward, just our expert introduction will be introduced by Miss Kasturi Kusti. Kasturi,
Good morning, sir.
Mm,
Sir, with your permission, shall I start the webinar?
yes, Kasturi.
Yes, sir. So, on behalf of the Department of Agriculture Engineering, Assam University, I, Ms. Kasturi Pusti, would like to welcome our distinguished speakers, participants, and our coordinators to the second day online training program on agri-system and infrastructure resilience to disaster, jointly organized by Department of Agriculture Engineering, Assam University, and in collaboration with the National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs. So we hope that we are mutually going to learn after we finish this webinar program. So since we all know that disaster, whether natural or human induced, have significant impacts on people, communities and countries. So beyond their immediate short-term effects, disaster can also substantially set economics back and can undermine national development gains that have taken decades to build. Managing natural hazards risks is inherent in agriculture, given in the sector resilience or climate and weather condition and the natural resource base. However, more frequent and intense natural hazards and the compounding and systemic nature for that risks pose a challenge for the sector, for farmers in developing countries, so whom we often bear the brunt of natural hazard impacts. Agriculture is highly vulnerable to natural hazards caused by droughts, earthquake, fires, floods, and severe weather conditions which can damage, have significant effect, widespread and long-lasting impacts on the sector through the serious damage. Natural hazards induced disaster are a leading cause of food insecurities. So the impact of this disaster extends beyond the economic realm. They destroy food and people's ability to produce excess dimension of food security through reducing the availability of the food and affecting the food utilization. So, to enlighten us more in this topic, we have our distinguished speakers with us. Professor A.G. Mohat sir, Head of the Department of Agriculture Engineering of Dr. B.S. Konkan Krishi Vidyapit, Dapoli. Ms. Fatima Binte Amin ma'am, Young Professional, ECDRM, NIDM, MHA. And Mr. Harshit Sharma sir, Young Professional, ECDRM, NIDM, MHA. So now we will start the technical session for which your active participation is very important to us. Now, for our first lecture, we have with us Professor A.G. Mohat sir. He is the head of the Department of Agriculture Engineering of Dr. B.S. Konkan Krishi Vidyapit Dapoli. He has professional specialization in renewable energy engineering, solar energy for agriculture, biomass and biofuel, energy auditing and conservation. He has 20 years of experience for teaching and evaluation in various courses. He is also the member of several organizations and societies. He has also received many awards and honors and also worked in many externally funded projects as a co-investigator, principal investigator, and course director, co-principal investigator, and procurement officer. He has published several research papers, articles, books, bulletins, and also has invited in a radio talk shows and TV shows. So now I would like to call upon Professor A.G. Mohat sir.
Particularly related to the agriculture engineering or agriculture and allied sector. If the host permit me, I want to share my two, three parameters are there for the causing of the flood. And the most important is the meteorological factor, which say that it is a natural factor. We cannot control that one. That may be the heavy rainfall, that may be the tropical cyclone, that may be the cloud burst. Second parameter, that is the physical factor, this is the large catchment area, inadequate drainage arrangement, that is mostly related to the artificial or man-made interventions. And the third factor, that is the man-made intervention, that is the human factor, that is nothing but the deforestation, siltation, faulty agriculture practices, bursting of the dam, accelerated urbanization, unplanned urbanization, encroachment, and this causes the flood, which cover most of the topic that may be in the figure. It says the geology, state of ground, antecedent condition, drainage, catchment area, attempt at management, land use, catchment shape, meteorological factor, what the vegetation is there, deforestation, number of factors are there which causes the flood, and that we have to look it into the matter, what to be get off of it so that the impact of the flood should be get reduced. Now, if we discuss with the impact of the flood, uh, each and everyone knows uh, the impact of the flood gives a very one can say a devastated condition in a flooded area, a frequent area. These are the major impact of the flood. Flood situation or flood disaster is occurring in any of the area. Flood situation or flood disaster is occurring in any of the area. How much damage is estimated in the that one? Government agencies, natural disaster management, mitigation plan, the death toll may be reduced one to that is also not a less one. Right from 77 reduced to the tune of 2,600 in a year. But however, if you look at the damage in crores, the damage which is in the 77, it rises up to 8,800 crores in 2000. And even though it is more than that one. And to cope up this one, government is pouring a huge amount in 2000 plan. A number of floods are there. Is not available condition, but a flood disaster is available. Which government of India has done a very good work for the mitigation, for restocking program, for the disaster management due to the tsunami, and that experience can be similar way can be applicable to the any flood area in the country. One has to go through this one. This detailed report is available on the NIDM site. Different uh, affecting components are uh, depending upon the facilities, either as a silage or the hay. Here is our of International Tsunami Information Center, that is ITIC. Underwater earthquakes are monitored by the sensor. Coastal region, it is also having a different scenario and mitigation plan.
Rai ma'am has raised once again.
Yeah,
Madam, yeah,
may I talk?
yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, madam.
I'm sorry for asking so many questions, but my interest is, like many of these. My point is
Yeah, one cannot go for the mitigation. Transboundary mitigation is essential, and government is also trying for that one because a mitigation many softwares are there. So number of tools are available for the planning of. But what we are sometimes that catchment area may treated for the plantation. Sometimes that catchment area may be treated for the drainage lining, or sometimes that area, if it is at higher elevation, that area may be restored as the water supply bodies. Because after flood also, a drinking water or clean water is the necessity. Even for the human consumption also, agriculture crop products, depending upon the your all type of the disaster.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
for
you very much. Thank you, Dr. Gade, Dr. Ajita, and all in. Thank you very much.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Presently a young professional at National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Affairs, New Delhi. She has done masters in disaster management from University of Kashmir, Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. She many important like some trees, city crops such as wheat, rice, and soya beans. This science is somehow is now far from. If you like if I'm the share screen I'm sharing you, it's showing the project impact. Every change is having particular impact in different sects, like how it's having impact on food, water, weather events, risk, and reversible change. Since we are talking about the agriculture, so it's like the failing crop yield is increases with the increase in temperature. Also there are we are having the failing yields in many developmental regions, and we know that the sea level rise is threatening major coastal areas, and the availability of water is decreasing with the increase in climate change. We know that the glaciers are disappearing with changes from 1877 2005. Also, among them, six were severe droughts. That was in 2009, 2002, 1987, 1972, 1987. And the trend is keeping going like in impacts. And three, with good its production about 21% in 2020, and 10% in 2050, and 4% in 2018. Varieties of fruits, vegetables, and flowers will perform poorly in an unpredictable manner due to climate change. Projected changes in climate are not limited, limited to increase in temperature and heat wave. Large changes in rainfall patterns are also expected to occur. While some regions are likely to suffer from more drought in future, and others will be like having the torrent rains or increased floods, or some in there is we know that the sea level is rising. This is the same side showing how the climate change is having the impact on livestock and its production. Uh, this is, I guess, this I want to share this slide also how climate change is gender based or are also more prone to drudgery due to climate change. Also, climate change threatens to widen existing gender. Also, if we are developing, we just not need to like affect other. It should not affect other organizations or other ecosystems, or we can say that other levels of food chain. These are the eight missions that are on climate change, and that are continuously working. And if everyone anyone who is interested who can go national solar mission, national mission for enhanced energy efficiency, national mission on sustainable habitat, national water mission, mission on sustainable for Himalayan ecosystem. So these are some eight missions, and this is the roadmap of with how greenhouse gases are emissions are increasing the concentrations of in the atmosphere, and how by having the impact of climate change, and what are our response options, like what are some mitigation strategies, some geoengineering technologies, and some adaptations ways contributing 28% to the climate change. So by the climate change, or when at the time of migration, it's basically for the nomads when they move from one place to another place. It's most likely the person, the people, or the category that is mostly affected is children and women, because change that is going because of the climate change. So it takes time for them, and they are not though physically we can say that their physics is not that strong as now. If you could read the sustainable development goal, there is clearly mentioned that how women is being affected by the climate change.
Convey the thanks to you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
ma'am.
inviting, ma'am.
Yeah. Kasturi.
Our third lecture, we have Mr. Harshit Sharma, sir, young professional of ECG RM, NIDM, MHA. He has a vast experience at various important administrative positions earlier in NITM, and has worked in the Vigilance Department of Indian oil operational vitality. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Harshit Sharma, sir. India's population has grown and doubled from 541 million in 1971 to 1 to 1 to taking various steps to move forward in our agricultural sector to produce our economy, increase our economy, and to the credit goes to the Green Revolution that started in the late 60s and made India from a country of food grain importer to food grown grain exporter. However, we will see attaining a level of food sector as well as our farmers. Next, we will discuss about the National and Farmer Welfare has prepared a National Agricultural Disaster Management Plan with the technical support of NIDM to better prepare for the impacts of disasters and to avoid potential new risks. Reduce the end of India has to create the national level plan for disaster management for agricultural sector. So we all can notice that there is a problem so that they have prepared the plan. So what are the systematic practices, operation don't aggravate hazards, risks, and vulnerabilities or disasters. Next, agriculture sector. So massive losses like crop loss, especially standing crops and yield reduction, damage to soil, damage to machineries, stored goods, damage to roads and other infrastructure, physical damage to perennial horticulture, tree-based systems, and damage. High tide may also affect the agriculture by bring disruption in agriculture. This also can affect the analysis of the develop the agricultural sector. Basically, what are the schemes, what are the programs we will discuss in a brief manner. So first we will see the e-national implementation of the centrally sponsored. This scheme is of the joint initiative of the central as well as the bulk allocation of food grains to the state governments. These the PDS had evolved in namely wheat and it maintains the buffer stock of food grain has also helped in redistribution of grains by supplying food. The scope of the public distribution system during the emergencies. In emergency situation, how can we use the public distribution system? Over there, that the total respondent should make some necessary arrangements to reserve the spare rations in stock and utilize the same at the time of emergencies. And the government should ensure the last mile connectivity for the effective and proper distribution of the food and other necessary items to the affected communities during the disaster, during any of the disaster communities, because for any disaster the role of the community is very important and which plays a very important role in towards disaster risk reduction, because the first responder is the community in any of the places in any for with respect to any of the disaster. So the role of the community, we all can notice here, or we all can see here, and they have to take various steps at their level also towards disaster risk reduction. And the government should make some special provisions to establish a local seed bank at each and every village area to ensure the uninterrupted future cultivation and ensure the minimal use of carbon footprint while packaging and distributing the food through PDS, public distribution system, during the disasters or emergency. Because we all can see, we are also we are also we all we most of the speakers have also cited that the effect of the climate change, how the climate change is imposing its impact on our agriculture sector. So we all have to reduce the use of the plastics, and we all have to ensure the local government should ensure, and the at the local level the government should ensure that minimum use of the carbon footprints while packaging and distributing the foods. The affected communities may be benefited by some special provisions to flow subsidized food grains to over 80 crore people registered under the PDS. But who will ensure that the government of India has given its guidelines? Government of India has given the directions to the state governments. But at the local level, who will ensure that there should not be any corruption at the local area? The ration card should be distributed to only and only to the poorer people, to the people who are able, who are
the basically to the people, the affected community basically. We'll discuss what are the issues, because we have discussed what how the PDS system, what is the PDS system. We have discussed what is the importance of the PDS system in our targeting mechanism, such as the TPDS are prone to large inclusion and exclusion errors. The employees and entitled beneficiaries are not in food grains, while those that are ineligible are getting undue benefits. Food grains during transportation to and from ration shops into the open market. In an evaluation of TPDF, the erstwhile Planning Commission found 36% of leakages of PDS rice and wheat at the all India level, and issues with storage. And the issues is the next thing is the next issue is yeah.
So thank you. And then with this, we hope that no further queries are there, as we are not seeing any hands to be raised or neither any questions are there in the chat box. So we think that we can conclude today's session. So I would like to request Kasturi to conclude the session. Yeah.
Okay. With this, we have come to our end of our today's session. I, on behalf of Department of Agriculture Engineering, Assam University, extend my heartfelt thanks and vote of thanks to Professor A.J. Mohan sir, Ms. Fatima Binti Amir madam, and Mr. Harshit Sharma sir. I also heartily congratulate to all the active participants for their participation in this event, and no program became successful with a single person, whom I extend my big thanks to Dr. Ajita Tiwari madam, Dr. Chetan Kubrale sir, Dr. Kopal Verma Shani madam, and Ms. Fatima Binti Amin madam. So we can end this program now.
Okay, so just for this one announcement for the participants, as tomorrow is the last day, and then we will start our program on time as per the schedule, as you are seeing from the last 2 days. So we are expecting the active participation in the tomorrow. Okay, thank you each and everyone.
Thank you
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank you.
participants. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
sir and ma'am.
So participants, you can leave the session as we are just closing the Google Meet for the today.
Okay.